There is a sushi chef in Tokyo who has been making the same dish for over 50 years. Every morning he arrives before dawn. He selects the fish himself. He prepares the rice with attention that borders on obsession, the temperature, the pressure, the seasoning, adjusted for the humidity and season of the day. He has been doing this with minimal variation for half a century. His name is Jiro Ono. He is in his late 90s. His restaurant has 3 Michelin stars. There is a documentary about him called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And when you watch it, something strange happens. You find yourself moved, not just impressed, moved, by a man making rice and fish, by the depth of attention he brings to something that most people would consider ordinary. What you're watching is Shokunin. Shokunin is a Japanese word that translates roughly as craftsman or artisan. But the translation doesn't capture what the word really means, which is why it's worth spending time with. In Japanese, Shokunin doesn't just mean someone who has a craft. It means someone who has devoted their life to a craft, who has made the pursuit of mastery the organizing principle of their existence. Someone whose identity and the quality of their work are inseparable. The Shokunin spirit applies to any discipline. The master sushi chef, the master carpenter, the master gardener, the master calligrapher, even the master street sweeper. There are famous accounts in Japanese culture of people who brought Shokunin-level attention to cleaning streets and were respected for it. What unites all of them is not the prestige of their work. It's the quality of their relationship to it. To understand Shokunin, we need to understand a few things about how Japanese culture thinks about work ideas that are quite different from the assumptions most of us have absorbed from Western culture. The first difference is the relationship between process and outcome. In Western culture, particularly in the modern era, we tend to be outcome-focused. The point of work is the result, the product sold, the project delivered, the goal achieved. The process is something you get through on your way to the outcome. If you can get to the outcome faster by any means available, you should. The Shokunin philosophy is almost the reverse. The process is the point. The outcome is a byproduct of the process done right. You don't rush the process to get to the outcome, you attend to the process so completely, so faithfully that the outcome takes care of itself. Jiro Ono doesn't think about Michelin stars. He thinks about the rice, the fish, the temperature of the vinegar, the angle of the cut. The stars are the inevitable result of that attention, not its goal. The second difference is the relationship between repetition and growth. In Western culture, we tend to think of repetition as the enemy of growth. Doing the same thing over and over again is stagnation. Innovation requires novelty. Progress requires change. The Shokunin view is more nuanced. Repetition in the Shokunin tradition is not the enemy of mastery, it is the path to mastery. But it must be the right kind of repetition, not mindless repetition, but deliberate, attentive repetition that seeks, each time, to do the thing a little better than the last time. There is a concept in Japanese called Kaizen, continuous improvement, which we've discussed on this channel. Shokunin embodies Kaizen at the level of a lifetime practice. Each day, each repetition is an opportunity to refine, to deepen, to get closer to something that can never quite be reached, the perfection of the form. This is why masters in Japanese crafts often speak of their work as something they will never finish learning. Jiro Ono, in his 90s, after 50 years of making sushi every day, still speaks of trying to improve. Not as humility, as literal fact. There is always more to learn. There is always a better version of the thing. The third difference is the relationship between ego and craft. In much of modern Western culture, work is an extension of the self in an ego. Since it's about what I have achieved, what I have produced, what I can claim credit for. The work reflects on me. In the Shokunin tradition, the relationship is inverted. The craftsman serves the craft. The self is subordinated to the work, not the other way around. Jiro Ono doesn't make sushi to express himself. He makes sushi because sushi deserves to be made perfectly, and he has dedicated himself to being the person who can do that. This might sound like self-erasure, but practitioners describe it as the opposite, as a form of freedom. When the ego is not in the way, when you're not worried about your reputation or your output or how others will judge what you've made, you can give yourself entirely to the work. And in that giving, something opens. This is the state that the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called flow, the complete absorption in a challenging activity that produces what many people describe as the most satisfying experiences of their lives. The Shokunin, through years of practice, can access that state at will. The work itself becomes a meditation. There is also something important in Shokunin about the relationship between the craftsman and the person they serve. In Japanese culture, the concept of Omotenashi, wholehearted hospitality, is deeply connected to Shokunin. The craftsman's purpose is not abstract mastery for its own sake. It is mastery in service of the person who will receive the work. Jiro's sushi exists for the person sitting across the counter. The carpenter's joinery exists for the family who will live in the house. The master who serves, no one is not a shokunin, they're just a hobbyist. This grounding in service gives the shokunin pursuit a depth that purely self-focused mastery lacks. The question is always, is this good enough for the person who will receive it? Not, am I good enough? The orientation is outward, not inward. Now let's be honest about something. The shokunin ideal is extreme. Most of us are not going to spend 50 years perfecting one skill. We live in an era of portfolio careers, rapid change, and endless options. The idea of committing completely to a single path for a lifetime feels both admirable and alien. But the Shokunin philosophy doesn't require that kind of commitment to offer something valuable. What it offers is a different way of relating to whatever you're doing right now, whatever work is in front of you, a presentation, a piece of writing, a meal you're cooking, an email you're composing. What would it mean to bring Shokunin attention to it? Not to finish it as quickly as possible, but to do it as well as you possibly can, given what you know right now. What would it mean to treat your work, whatever it is, as something worth doing? Well, not for the outcome it produces, but because the doing of things well is itself a form of respect for the craft, for the person who will receive it, and for the time and attention you're investing. There's a line often attributed to various Zen masters before enlightenment: chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The task doesn't change. The quality of attention does. Before I close, I want to share something about the Shokunin tradition that I find genuinely moving. In Japan, there is a government designation called Living National Treasure, Ningen Kokuho. It is awarded to individuals who have achieved such mastery in a traditional craft that they are considered irreplaceable cultural assets. What strikes me about this designation is what it says about what Japanese culture considers valuable. Not the richest, not the most famous, the most devoted, the one who gave everything to the work. A civilization that honors that kind of dedication is saying something important, that mastery matters, that the depth of attention a human being brings to a single thing is one of the most precious things there is. We live in a culture that honors scale and speed. The Shokunin tradition offers a counterweight: go deep, not wide. Choose the thing worth doing. Do it with everything you have. Not because it will make you famous, because depth is where meaning lives. I want to add one more thing because I think it's the most practical takeaway from everything I've described. The Shokunin tradition suggests that the quality of your attention is the quality of your life, not your productivity, not your output, not your achievements, your attention. If you move through your days skimming everything, half present at meals, half listening in conversations, rushing through work to get to the next thing, you are not just being inefficient, you are missing your own life. The Shokunin spends 50 years making sushi, but what they're really doing, underneath all the technique and repetition, is practicing the art of being fully here, fully present with what's in front of them, fully invested in this moment, this action, this act of care that's available to anyone, in any work, in any life. You don't need 50 years. You don't need a Michelin star. You just need to ask, right now, about whatever you're doing, am I actually here? Am I bringing my full attention to this? And if the answer is no, which it often will be, for all of us to gently bring yourself back. That's the practice. That's the invitation. That's Shokunin.